So I just got in late last night from the Visor XR launch. If you're not familiar what that is, Visor XR is a new AR VR headset for work. And I've been an Immersed user for quite a while. Immersed is a VR environment that allows you for having multiple displays up, creating multiple virtual displays, and then they also have virtual working environments that's kind of like co-working in the digital space. It's very cool and very enjoyable, and they've seen massive growth in their platform over the last couple of years. And Immersed VR has went off and made their own VR headset. Now, hardware is a challenging thing. It's very expensive, and getting into that hardware space means working with a lot of different technology partners, writing a lot of code and software, and making a lot of things work, probably even discovering many things that you didn't know were going to become something until you got down that road. Also, them being a startup, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt of trying to create something that most startups don't attempt. It's a big thing to try and create a piece of hardware like that, especially something that's considered emerging tech. So I was one of a group of people that went down to Austin, Texas with the hopes of demoing the Visor XR headset. We went to the keynote. The experience was a little bit challenging. It was their first event, and there were some things logistically that led to us getting in the door a little late, the keynote starting a little late, stuff like that. But we can chalk that all up to, hey, it's a bunch of software developers throwing an event, probably going to be some kinks when it comes to in real life functionality. That's definitely not the forte of most of those folks. So I feel like they did an okay job thinking through a lot of things, and I definitely give them the benefit of the doubt there. Now, my demo experience with the XR headset was supposed to be at 11 a.m. And my expectations were that I was going to be able to put the headset on and demo a fully functioning unit. Perhaps even going into Immersed and being able to experience the hand tracking and the pass-through and all the features that I was hoping that the device would have. I pre-ordered my Visor XR headset just over a year ago, or around a year ago. And so I've been anticipating this for a long time, as have a lot of other people. There were also people that traveled from other countries. Now, I traveled from Montana down to Texas, which is a pretty decent distance. Further distance than most people that were there. But there was a guy that I talked to from England. There were two guys that came from Japan, one of them with a translator. And so there were people that came from other countries to demo this, to get a view of new bleeding edge technology in the space of VR for work, or VR AR for work. The demo times got pushed back significantly. First of all, the headsets weren't there. They were supposedly getting flashed with firmware. They were trying to work out some final kinks that just were taking a lot of time. I am most certain that there were people that were up all night long trying to figure out these problems, as some of the people that showed up finally with the headsets looked like they hadn't slept in a while. Some of them looked pretty tired. So when they finally announced that the demos were ready, they announced that it would be hardware only demos, which a hardware only demo means I'm only touching the hardware, putting it on. There's no turning it on. There's no functionality at all. And you could tell the vibe in the room sunk immediately, as everybody that had been sitting around for 2.5 hours at that point lost a lot of hope in this product. Now, going back to the keynote, I think the keynote was done really well. Renji is a great guy who I've been able to interview for this channel and talk to in several different emails about different features, and even communicate in Immersed's Discord server as well. He seems like an all-around great guy, and I have no reason to believe otherwise. I do understand that there are so many challenges when building something. You are relying on external suppliers and partners for hardware. Every piece of technology on that device came from some manufacturer, and they all needed to be put together in order to work into a specific device. And Immersed likely doesn't have the money nor the manpower as Apple or Meta does to deal with problems that would arise in the production of those types of devices. Now, considering how much time has gone by since the Visor was initially announced, and granted, I know that things have changed in design, probably even different partners have changed as far as manufacturing, and lots of things can change as you go through that process of seeing, is this viable? Is this something that we can do? You know, some companies get to the point where they say, we can't do this, and so we're going to end up refunding, or perhaps you can wait a little bit longer. And they see how those things are going to go. Immersed is now around a year, a little bit over a year down this road, and feeling a lot of pressure from those who have pre-ordered these devices, and we're hoping to get to try a working model at this event. The Immersed IRL event was open to anybody who pre-ordered a device, and then of course you could sign up and just go to the keynote as well and experience everything that's there, including even getting a demo if you wanted to demo a device before dropping the money on it. However, this doesn't bode too well for Immersed, being that their device was nothing more than a dummy unit, essentially, for those of us to get an idea of what it feels like to wear it. And it was also missing a few other things that they advertised in the keynote. And so here are my first impressions of what I was able to experience. First of all, in all of the pictures that I saw, everything looked really slim and extremely lightweight. Granted, the visor was very lightweight in comparison to the Apple Vision Pro and the Quest 3. But as you can see in some of the pictures and the video that I'm sharing with you, it's definitely a lot thicker than I expected. Now, I don't know how I could expect anything thinner and get the performance that I would want. I know that Apple would have made theirs as thin as possible, and same with Meta. They would have made it as thin as possible if they could, but Visor is different. And so we have that in the back of our mind, that Visor is different. It's not a gaming headset. It doesn't need maybe everything. And then they also took the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth module and embedded that in the battery. And so there's the offboarding of some technology, which definitely had me anticipating a much thinner device. Granted, it is not that big in comparison. And as you can see in the photos, while it is a lot bigger than most of us expected, it's still relatively small compared to the competition. Now, in the configuration that I was able to demo, it was a little bit heavy on the nose. Granted, even Renji said in the keynote that most people are going to want to use the full head strap with a strap that goes around the back, which makes it look exactly like a VR headset and not nearly as much as of the visor that we were expecting. It's a bit heavy without that on the nose, so I was only able to demo it in the configuration that they had it available. It did have an adjustable bridge for the nose that allowed you to kind of move that around. It seemed to be very adjustable, which I was kind of excited about at first, but then I started twisting on it a little bit and just kind of pushing it around, and I thought, you know what, if I had to do that 100 times, I wonder if it would still be there or if it would end up breaking off. I just wasn't completely confident with it, but I didn't let my mind go there. I was more interested on the device itself and how it felt. It was a little bit heavy on my nose, but it did not take, I knew that just with a little bit of pressure relief that would come with the head strap, just a tiny bit of pressure relief is all that it would need, and it would be very comfortable. It doesn't sit on my face like the Apple Vision Pro requires, or even the Meta Quest. It felt a lot more balanced, and knowing what the experience is with a head strap, I know that the visor is definitely something I'd be able to wear all day long. So during my initial demo, I was trying to record some initial reactions, and I could not get over in that moment the fact that all I was wearing was essentially a dummy unit that could not power on. I was trying to talk about it. You could look around the room and see a lot of other people as they were taking pictures. They were trying to smile through the pain of wearing a device that was non-functional. And that was the general vibe in the room. All of us trying to project some form of enjoyment of what we were trying, knowing that we were trying something that wasn't working, and knowing that the people that were all around us were probably just as equally frustrated, and they were trying to put on the best that they could for all of us, considering the circumstances. Now, I decided to sit around for a little bit longer. I did talk to one of the Immersed employees, and he said there very much might be an opportunity to at least see the screens come on if I was to wait around a little bit. I did have a VIP lanyard because I am a Founder Edition purchaser, and then of course I've made some video content before, and so I asked, and they said maybe if you stick around a little bit longer. So I did. I hung out, talked to a couple of people for a little bit, and then was able to go back in and try a visor headset on that they were able to at least get powered up and show a video on the screen. Now, granted, all they were doing was just basically mirroring a display or sending a display onto the visor and playing that video for us. It was what a lot of people are saying is theater mode, which theater mode would mean I can look with both eyes open and see a nice full screen for maybe watching a video or something like that. This was not really theater mode because it was playing the same image on both. And so it was just one big image. If I wanted to see something, I had to close one eye so that I can kind of look across and see an entire image, and then close the other eye and look around too, because it was not showing me stereoscopic imaging. It was showing me one big brick image all the way across. And that was a little disorienting. Yes, I could get an idea that the screens are very clear. Yes, high resolution screens. They look great. That's great. The refresh rate looked okay. I'm sure there was some issues even with the video playback due to the way that they were having to force it into the headset. The sharpness looked okay. I was glad to see that what we were trying on was in fact something that powers on, and it was not in fact just a fake dummy piece of technology, but it was something that worked. And you could really tell that because there was a guy there that was with a headset literally pushing code, making changes, pushing code constantly the entire time, trying to get something to work. And finally, he was able to at least get a backup plan in place, which would allow some of us to see the video screens working themselves. But what I really wanted to see was camera pass through, hand tracking, all of those things, which I had built up expectations of to be actually better than the Apple Vision Pro. And those were things that I didn't get to see. And so that's what went down at Immersed IRL 2024. It's definitely what happens when a lot of the technology and things that you are working with are out of your control. What's in their control is the software that they're writing to work with the hardware. What's completely out of their control is what the hardware is able to do, and especially being that they're doing something new, is their custom firmware that they have to work with that runs with the software that they're creating to make the device do what they want it to do. There's a lot of moving pieces there. And if you don't have the support system like Apple or Meta to make something happen like this, it's likely that there are going to be some bumps in the road, especially when you're doing something for the first time. So I'm not giving Immersed a pass. I think that they do need to have some sort of responsibility for what happened, and they're going to need to make it right for not only everybody that was there, but everybody who was watching online who was a purchaser of the product and had expectations of seeing a working unit. I'm recording this just 24 hours later after the initial keynote concluded, and so I'm sure there's a lot of wound licking taking place over at Immersed right now, trying to figure out the best way to move forward and rebuild that confidence with us consumers who put money out for a product with the promise of it being new and emerging tech that we'd all been looking forward to for quite a long time. So first of all, if you were there with me, let me know down in the comment section down below. I didn't get a chance to say hi to everybody, but I did get a chance to meet a few people, and it was great. Also, let me know down in the comment section if you purchased one of these headsets. I'm still fully confident that Immersed is going to deliver on their promises. It's just going to take a little bit more time. I have a link in the description below to their product page so that you can check that out. I'm sure they're going to be extending lower purchase pricing and stuff like that, considering the things that took place this week. For me personally, it's relatively low risk to try and purchase a product in this type of situation because I know that if I don't end up getting the product, I can contact my credit card company and get a refund if the company themselves fails to refund me at my own request. So getting it at the lowest price is definitely important for me. I just hope that we're able to get something soon that delivers on the initial promises that Immersed was making. I'll definitely be connecting with Renji and the Immersed team later in hopes of getting another interview and discussing what went wrong, what the next steps are, and what we can expect moving forward. So if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about it down in the comment section below, and I hope to see you back in another video soon. Take care.